Well, in some experiences, starting with LeBron James and Tom Brady, these were both guys I'd worked with or I was working with. And so, I was able to just sort of ask them and inquire. This is something as a sports fan I've always sort of been curious about, which is okay, as a fan, I remember this game, but I want to know, what do you think of as your most memorable experience? So that, was the process. And once you have LeBron James and Tom Brady as part of your series, it makes it a little easier to go and ask others and get them involved. I think it was that consistently, actually, it was that, like, LeBron James, it wasn't coming back to Cleveland and winning the NBA Finals. For Tom Brady, it wasn't the 28-3 comeback. For Alex Morgan, it wasn't winning the World Cup. It was these fairly obscure stories that meant something to them. And that was really fun. And then also the paradox of, okay, like, LeBron does choose a game that's, I think he scores 45 points, has 15 rebounds, 9 assists. But the experience that he talks about internally is silence. He says, I felt nothing. Just that absence of action. So outwardly, you're seeing, you can go find the tape. You can see this incredible performance. He's doing it in the Boston Garden. People are, it's like in behind enemy lines, but so it's noisy, it's crazy, but for him, it's almost like this spiritual experience. And so I think that was what was most surprising is the contradiction between the outward action and the internal experience. It's interesting. I'd say pretty consistently, and I don't want to, I'm not making gender stereotypes here, but for a lot of the male athletes, they talked about, the weight of expectations, the scrutiny, the noise that they could hear. So it's a lot of them are talking about later in their careers. Sean White talks about, Olympic trial and going and just knowing everywhere he goes. At this point in his career, he knows like everyone just expects him to show up and win, but he knows like the work that has to go in. Like you have to perform in that moment. So I think that sense of expectations, and then the two women that are featured in the series, Katie Ledecky and Alex Morgan, they both talk about experiences very early in their careers where no one really knew who they were. Katie Ledecky was 15 years old. She does talk about the 2012 Olympics, so obviously the stage is enormous. But she says, nobody, she was 15, nobody expected her to do anything. Alex Morgan, certainly not the superstar that we all know now, winning the World Cup last year. It's, she's not even a starter. It's her first start that she talks about. No one kind of had any expectations. So I think there's a sort of interesting thread in terms of, the experience or the moment in time that a lot of these athletes talk about and the backstory before it.